Oh, it's Gregatron. I got another question for y'all. My last video was, is feminism good or bad? Well, this one is medication good or bad? I just want you to think about that for a few seconds. All right, time is up. So there's two answers to this question. Medication is good when it comes to physical pain, but it's bad when it comes to mental pain. And here's why. So physical pain, let's say you have a knee injury or a back injury or whatever, and the pain is just too overbearing, yeah, you're going to need something. Whereas the mental aspect, medication's only making it worse, not better. Because when you find out what the real problem is, you'll be like, oh, seriously? So let's talk about these mental illnesses real quick. So it's 2022. Everybody is depressed. Everybody's feeling lonely. Got anxiety, sleeping disorders, suicidal thoughts. Just crazy stuff I never heard of when I was a kid. And when I talk to my parents or anybody older than 60, there's still, baby boomers out there. Y'all can ask them these questions. Like, next time you talk to your parents, ask your parents or grandparents or your aunt or uncle, was this mess going on when y'all were growing up? They'll say no. So this is like a new phenomenon. And the argument is, well, it's always been around, Greg. The doctors are just now seeing it for what it is, right? That's the argument. It's been here this whole time. We just didn't know what to call it. I disagree with that. Because we're supposed to be so sophisticated today, so advanced, so technologically advanced. Yet we got more violence, more killing, more robbing, more suicide, more everything. Everything that's bad is going up. But if we have all this medication, I was talking to my coworker about this weeks ago. If we have all this medication, why are we not better? Like, we should be walking on cloud 9 at this point. All this daggone medication. We should be walking on water, but we're not. We feel worse now than we felt 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. If you're older than me, 30, 40 years ago. It's like every decade, every half a decade, we get worse and worse and worse and worse. But ask yourself, why is that? You got people who are hearing voices, people who are violent, emotional, angry, you name it. And this is how I know the medication isn't helping, because if it was helping, these things would be going away, not increasing. These doctors, if you're a doctor out there, no offense, but y'all know what y'all are doing. If you're like a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor or a therapist, it's like y'all know exactly what y'all are doing. These doctors are here for the money. It's their job to prescribe you medication because they want you to continue to come back. The more you come back, the more co-pays, the more appointments, the more follow-ups, the more checkups, the more this, the more that. These people might get bonuses. Just think about that for a second. Like, if these doctors wanted you to be better, you'd be better. Didn't we go to the moon? For goodness sakes. We can go to the moon, but we can't help people with their depression. See what I'm saying? The man created a car and a spaceship and a jet and a helicopter. We can create all this stuff, but we can't do anything when it comes to mental illness. And I'm not just talking out of my butt. I've seen it personally. Like, I used to be depressed at one point in time, right? And I was going to these counselors and these psychiatrists and psychologists, whatever you want to call them. And it's like every appointment, they would ask me the same questions. How's your mood? Any suicidal thoughts lately? How's work? How's your family? They would ask me those same questions every session. And sometimes I'd be getting better, sometimes worse, just depending on what was going on. But like, I would leave that appointment feeling good, right? It's kind of like when you go to church and you feel good after a church service. Then by the time it's Tuesday, you're going back to doing the same crap. Same thing with these therapy appointments. They make you feel good, but then less than a week later, you're feeling depressed again. Because there's nothing that these doctors can do. It's a spiritual issue. There's really nothing they can do but get money. So it's like you can't even blame them for trying to take your money because you're too dumb to realize this person's taking my money. They're just taking advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so easy for them to do it. And I'm not trying to make the doctors out to be the bad guy, but we just got to look at it for what it is. If we have so much medication today, why is everybody tripping? Why is everybody on depressed and taking drugs? When you understand that it's spiritual, there's nothing else from there. There's no other way to look at it. Doctors cannot help this issue. Like these mass shooters. We have more mass shooting now than we ever did in history, right? But we have more medication now too. So I don't think this medication's helping. It makes you feel better at the time when you take it. And after that, it pretty much just masks what's going on. It's like putting on a Halloween mask. You're just covering up something you don't want to see, which is your actual face. But once that medication wears off, it's like you take your mask off. Oh man, now it's me again. But instead of people facing it, they just keep covering it up. You're just masking the pain. That's all you're doing. So back to what I said with the spiritual aspect. If you have an angry heart, that's where everything stems from. So all these things that people do, like sex and porn and alcohol and weed and whatever you're addicted to, sleeping pills, it's because you have an angry heart. But if you overcome that anger, all that stuff will begin to go away. But you just have to see that you have anger. You have to see that you have a problem. Because you go into a doctor and say, hey doc, I need some help. Again, they're just going to take advantage of the situation. But you need to work on yourself. You can't trust these doctors. You really can't trust anybody. The Bible says you're not even supposed to trust yourself. You're just supposed to trust God. But man, they don't want me to preach today. But you just have to see yourself for what it is like and ask yourself, why am I like this? Why do I feel this way? Why can't I sleep? Why am I hearing these voices? You know how little kids ask why all the time? Why? Ask yourself, what's wrong with me? A doctor can't tell you that. These doctors don't know you. These doctors see you as not even a patient. These doctors see you as a number, like a serial number. These doctors see you as a paycheck, man. But just ask why. why am I still jacked up? Why am I still thinking this way? Why am I still acting this way? How come I'm not getting better? And when you start asking why, you'll begin to see God will reveal it to you. But you need to work on yourself. And you have to get over that angry spirit you have. The only way you can do that is by forgiving. So whoever wronged you growing up as a kid, whoever you're the most angry at, that's the person you have to forgive. Chances are it's both of your parents, one of your parents, if not both. Because once you understand that your parents were not perfect and that they couldn't help themselves, you'll understand that you and your brothers and your sisters and your aunts and uncles and cousins and friends and coworkers, you'll understand these people can't help it either. And medication cannot do that. Medication can't make your heart no longer angry. All it's doing is covering up the issue, just putting a blanket over it. So you got to overcome the anger. And I'm a living witness because I used to be on medication. I haven't been on medication, I don't know, probably 2 years, give or take. I don't remember the last time I took meds. Now, like if I have a headache or something like that, yeah, I'll take like some aspirin or something. But again, that's physical. Now, like physical, I'm not knocking these doctors. Because again, if you had back surgery, you're going to need some medication for your back. But as far as the mind goes, these doctors, they got issues just like we got issues. These doctors got problems like everybody else. And how do you know these doctors aren't popping pills? You guys ever watch that show House? Not to get off topic, I love that show House. Because he was a doctor, but he was a drug addict. He was always popping pills, Vicodin. That's how I found out about Vicodin, was from that show House. Because when I was a teenager, I was on hydrocodone myself because I had knee surgery. And House actually reminded me of the old me back when I was on hydrocodone for my knee. Because this dude House, he had that cane. He was always on that Vicodin stuff, man. He got in trouble for that stuff. Because different doctors are supposed to prescribe it for you. You can't prescribe your own medication for yourself. But he got in big trouble. I never did see the whole show. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, these doctors got their own problems. And just because they got bachelor's and master's and doctor's degrees, that doesn't mean they're super smart. These people are just as dumb as you. It's just an expensive piece of paper. But the problem is people treat these doctors like they're some type of god. And they're really not. They're just people like me and you. Like a security guard, or a custodian, or a mechanic. They're just people. It's just their job to do this stuff. But don't put them over you. Don't make a doctor so important. You need to think for yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror. See what the real problem is. You have an angry heart. And overcome that first. And then see what's going on. Let me know if this was helpful. Peace.